We hear earthquakes, famines, pestilence, hailstorms, killer heat waves, floods, drastic weather changes are breaking all past records. It looks like nature's out of control, but God's word has clearly predicted it would happen. The wrath of God is to be outpoured on this earth to an unleashed fury of nature, because God is warning mankind that judgment is coming, and these are labor pains, and the closer we get to the birth of His kingdom, more frequent and intensive we'll get until the birth of the kingdom of God.
A wave of small sea creatures that washed on shore, and everybody is talking about them at local beaches today. Well, check this out. You can see how far the tide came up right here. Wow, it's a line of hundreds of tuna crabs. 10 News reporter Hannah Mullins gives us a close-up look.
They're not just washing up here in Ocean Beach. They're all over the coastline, south in Tijuana and up north in La Jolla.
There were too many to count.
About a close call involving American and Russian military planes. Tonight we are learning there were 2 Russian jets involved. The encounter with one described as unsafely close. ABC's chief global affairs reporter Martha Raddatz in Washington tonight. And Martha, unsafely close, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it means that Russian jet could have been as little as 10 feet away from the U.S. reconnaissance plane, although it is hard for the crew to say exactly since it happened so fast. What we did learn today is that the Russian jet approached directly behind the U.S. aircraft, passed right underneath it, and then came up to the right side of the plane. All of those hot dog maneuvers way too close. And the thing to remember here is that the American plane is a big, lumbering aircraft that does not have the maneuverability of a fighter jet. The Russians clearly flexing muscles.
Tonight, a worrisome and potentially fatal threat to beachgoers is back. Vibrio vulnificus, a rare bacteria Florida health officials say has already killed 2 people and infected 5 more in that state.
More than 5,000 air, sea, and ground troops have taken part in a beach landing on the Swedish coast on Saturday as part of a NATO exercise Operation Belltops 2015. About 50 warships, over 60 aircraft, and 1 submarine from 17 countries are involved in this year's exercise, which began early this month and will last until June the 20th. NATO said the exercise demonstrates the resolve of allied and partner forces to defend the Baltic region. Belltops remains a U.S.-led exercise, but this year NATO is responsible for its execution. It comes as the New York Times reported on Saturday that Washington intends to station heavy military equipment in several Baltic and Eastern European countries to deter any possible further threats from Russia. The paper also said the proposal is expected to be approved by U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter and the White House before a NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels this month.
Heavy rainfall late on Saturday sent flash floods surging through Tbilisi. Dozens of properties have also been destroyed, leaving many families homeless, with the city's mayor suggesting the repair bill will run into the tens of millions of dollars. With large parts of the zoo still underwater, it's unclear how many animals have perished or how many are still on the loose. And that will only be known after all the mud and debris is cleared from the enclosures.
The water has killed all the monkeys, jaguars, and 3 lions have been drowned. A part of the carnival section where tigers and lions were kept is completely destroyed.
One by one, the animals are being cornered. Some killed, others recaptured using tranquilizer darts.
Animals that have escaped from the zoo have been captured. We were forced to kill some of them. The area they were roaming around was huge. 2 small bears have been found 15 kilometers from the zoo.
As yet, there's no reports the animals have attacked humans, though 3 zoo workers are confirmed to have died in the flooding. Among them, a zookeeper who lost an arm in a tiger attack last month.
Mount Sinabung has erupted again, forcing 2,700 people to evacuate their homes. Columns of ash spewed as high as 3 kilometers and lava spread around 1 kilometer to the south and east. No casualties were reported. Saturday's eruption was the latest round since an alert over the volcano was increased to the highest level earlier this month. Scientists say volcanic activity remains high. Mount Sinabung is one of nearly 130 active volcanoes in Indonesia, which stands along the Ring of Fire volcanic belt around the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Over tens of thousands of residents were evacuated in its last deadly eruption in February 2014, which killed 11 people.
Wildfire in Alaska is exploding in size. The blaze grew from 2 acres to more than 6,000 overnight. A massive plume can be seen for miles. The fire reportedly burned up to 15 buildings in the Willow area that's located about 40 miles north of Anchorage. More than 2,000 people are under evacuation advisories, and officials say the fire was sparked by humans.
From San Diego to San Francisco, creatures from the sea are swarming ashore, prompted by warmer than usual Pacific waters. Large numbers of large and creepy-looking slugs are showing up on Bay Area beaches. Authorities are getting phone calls asking, what are they? They're called sea hares, but the purple blobs look nothing like hares, trust us.
There are heavy clouds surrounding Mount Asama, but they have observed ash in the area. The agency officials have found a small amount of ash 4 kilometers north of the mountain. The more than 2,500-meter high volcano straddles Nagano and Gunma prefectures. Officials detected an increase of shallow quakes in late April. They recorded nearly 90 tremors on June 7th. They estimate 1,700 tons of the volcanic gas sulfur dioxide was released on June 11th. That's around 20 times more compared to surveys in May. The agency raised its alert level to 2 on a scale of 5 last week. Mount Asama last erupted in May.
Threat of dangerous flooding from the former tropical storm Bill. The system weakened to a depression overnight, but powerful downpours continue this morning, flooding roads throughout Texas.
Some areas of the country could see up to a foot of rain from this storm. This morning, flash flood watches stretch from Texas to Illinois as Bill heads north.
The storm didn't relent overnight. It took aim at Sealy, where cars struggled to make their way through the newly submerged roads. Rough waters continued to lash the seawall of the Galveston shoreline, water filling the island's streets. Tropical Storm Bill arrived on Monday with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, whipping palm trees. Headlights poked through the nearly blinding rain.
Living in Galveston the past 3 years, haven't seen anything like this.
The swell shattered a pier in Port Alto, where rushing floodwaters swept through the beachside community. The shores of the Lone Star State were hit hard, leaving behind debris-lined roads and soaked neighborhoods.
The waves just started coming over and just flooding the whole area.
As the system moves north, it's expected to bring nearly a foot of rain to parts of Texas and Oklahoma, hitting some of the waterlogged plains that flooded last month.
I'm told the mosquitoes on Maui are attacking aggressively, Marissa, especially at night. And health officials tell me the mosquitoes found on Maui are known to carry a disease. I talked to Peter Oshiro with the Department of Health, who says they're aware of the issue. Oshiro says the night biters are called Culex mosquitoes, but they don't know what's causing the increase in pests.
We really don't know the reason why. We haven't investigated into it, and the Department of Health typically, because of a lack of resources, does not go out to investigate slight upticks in mosquito populations, even when the public complains about it.
Culex mosquitoes can carry the West Nile virus, but Oshiro says residents should not be alarmed.
Torrential rain has made the city waterlogged. As you can tell from the street behind me, it has almost become a river and make it very difficult for vehicles to pass, which they will create huge water splash everywhere and make it even difficult for residents to pass the street. To give you an example, you can see that the water has reached my leg with a height of almost 15 to 20 centimeters. And how heavy was the rain yesterday, as the rain has stopped now? And according to local official figures, that from Tuesday evening to Wednesday morning, the total rainfall has surpassed the total amount of rainfall the entire raining season. And usually the rainy season in Shanghai will last for around 20 days. And it's also a very difficult day for local residents, for all the commuters. And the local authority, they say that the emergency calls have reached 172%.
Of Californians could run dry within the next few days. New statewide restrictions may cut off water supplies in response to the historic drought. John Blackstone takes us to the Mountain House community about an hour east of San Francisco, where leaders are desperate for a solution to keep the water running.
Mountain House is facing the possibility of taps going dry because the state water board has ordered an end to pumping from rivers and streams where the community gets its water.
We have to cease and desist and shut down our water diversion entirely, no exceptions.
Ed Pattison, general manager of Mountain House, has spent the week searching for a way to keep the taps running.
So we're out on the open market looking for water to provide an alternative water supply to get us through the remainder of the year.
You're looking for extra water in California right now. There isn't any extra water in California.
Well, we're in a fourth year of a drought, and there's a lot of people out there looking for water.
But he, too, is praying for rain.
If we don't get it, the reality is next year, I've heard the state will be going off the cliff.
While the heavy rains and winds caused the roof of an Orange County home to simply collapse.
Right, that's exactly what residents here in Castleberry are dealing with tonight. Take a look here. This is a section of a roof that was literally picked up, flung through the air hundreds of yards from the back of the house to the front and landed right on this car. Not only that, the winds were so strong here that the winds picked an entire mango tree, and that's just the beginning.
Division, we had lots of lightning, lots of rain.
Ended up going in the bathroom, the way they say to go. I went and hid in the bathroom for a little bit, and then it was like, it only lasted a minute or two.
Just enough time to do all of this. Roofs ripped off of homes, trees skinned to the core.
Said it was like a dinosaur coming across the street.
Lori Knutson's two neighbors escaped from their Jeep just in time as this tree came tumbling down.
It was so loud outside, you can't even capture that. I mean, it's insane.
It just turned. It was like hurricane.
Just shock.
And this is the shock Bonnie Stoss is dealing with just 2 weeks after moving in.
This came rushing through and it just tore this off and then landed up out front.
Landing on top of her car. Most of the heavy damage happened within miles of each other in Castleberry. The storm seemed to hit some and spare others.
We got no damage. We're blessed.
Now some sit without power. At one point, nearly 800 residents Cleanup is expected to take days, for some, even weeks.
And now we just have this.
A massive avalanche of ash from Mount Sinabung sweeps down across the landscape. It's just the latest threatening sign from the Indonesian volcano, as experts fear the mountain is on the verge of another major eruption. They placed the volcano on the highest alert status earlier this month and have asked nearby residents to evacuate. Some 3,000 have had to leave their homes in the past week.
Our worry is that Sinabung remains very active and the hot ash still threatens the neighboring areas.
After lying dormant for centuries, the volcano on the island of Sumatra has become increasingly active in recent years. Several times in the past week, it sent clouds of ash up to 2.5 kilometers into the sky. So far, no one has been hurt in these latest rumblings from the volcano. But 15 people were killed in February of last year in another powerful eruption. Since then, tens of thousands of people have left the area, hoping to avoid Mount Sinabung.
Right, people out of the rivers are finding dozens of dead fish in the water or along the shore of the Willamette and Clackamas rivers. We wanted to find out what is going on and whether it will affect the entire salmon run.
So our Lisa Balick is along the Willamette River and joins us live. Lisa, is this a really big concern right now?
Very much so for people who fish, and it could grow even larger if it's a long, hot, dry summer. Is this something that you normally would see this time of year?
I've never seen it like that before. I mean, I don't know that it doesn't happen, but I've never seen it.
Dozens of dead spring Chinook salmon, either floating in or along the banks of the Clackamas and Willamette rivers. With little snow this winter, the runoff is about over before summer even starts. River levels are far below normal. That means the water temperature is 5 to 10 degrees warmer than usual. A killer for some of the spring Chinook.
5 western states up in flames. The nearly 59,000 acres burning is being tracked by NASA. Families have watched 37 homes burn in Alaska.
Leave the line, Jay. Let's get out of here.
National Guard Blackhawks, the only thing able to reach some of the 6 fires burning in the wilderness of the last frontier. The governor declaring a state disaster. The lake fire in California's San Bernardino National Forest scorching 13,000 acres.
More than 20 hotshot crews are now battling this fire, some deep in the wilderness, others working on a controlled burn. You can see all the spot fires they've set to help eat up that fuel before it reaches the road.
That road held and kept the city of Big Bear safe, but with containment levels at just 10%, more crews are being added. This is just one of several fires burning in drought-stricken California. Smoke seen hovering south over San Diego as well. Firefights this early in the season is concerning for troops. The days are long and hot and far from over.